Hello, I'm Phil and a warm welcome to Festool TV. Working with the Capex KS120 can bring many advantages. The first one, of course, is the fact that we can carry it on this trolley, and then it means I can carry the saw but also the legs really simply and easily. So we'll come onto the legs in a little while, so we'll take these away from the stand and then we can unpack the saw. So to unpack the saw, I can bring a small clip up on the left-hand side, and then we can raise the saw, and then we can bring it into the working position. So the next stage is we can bring the head around into the cutting position. And now this will lock off at 0 degrees. To bring the head up, we can then pull a small lever out on the right hand side, push down the head of the saw, and now we can raise this into position. So setting the saw up and carrying it immediately is a very simple and easy process. But even things like the cable are thought about, and this is wound up on the back of the saw to save any tangles as well. So we can unwind this, and now I can plug this straight into my extractor. And I can work with a 36mm hose. 36mm hose will give me better extraction, or I can use a 27mm as well, but 36mm is always the recommended way to go. So setting up the KS120 for the first job of cutting a piece of material is a really simple, easy and also quick process. But the KS120, we can cut 305mm in width by 88mm in depth. But one of the big advantages of working with the KS120 are these two twin column guides. And when we work with these, it means that we can hold the saw really stable, but it also gives a lot of strength to the machine as well. The next advantage is, on the back of the saw, there's no wasted space, so it's a very compact machine while we're working. So the next stage is to set up a piece of timber, and then we can show a cut. So with the piece of timber, I can mark out exactly the piece that I want to remove on there. But on the Capex KS120 is a laser. This is positioned, the switch is positioned on the top of the housing. We can push on here now, and this will show me exactly the kerf line of the blade that we're working with. I can bring the timber over into position. I can line my pencil mark up exactly with the laser line, and then with the clamp, we can push this down, and then the timber is held really securely into position. To release the head on the two twin column guides, on the right hand side is a small screw, and we can undo this, and now the saw can move forward, and then we're ready to make the cut. And you can see with the Capex KS120 we get a really nice clean cut, and down here at 90 degrees, but we also have excellent dust extraction as well. But with the KS120 we can also cut angles and also bevels. On the right hand side we can go all the way through to 60 degrees, and then we can lock that into position. But also, on the left-hand side, we can take this around to 50 degrees as well. But common angles, such as 45 degrees, 22.5 and 30 degrees, are also marked on the inside of this plate here with these indentations. So I can then move the saw, and then I can lock it into position as well at the angle that I choose to work with. So we can swing this around back to 0 degrees. We can then lock this into position. And now we can look at how we can set up the saw for cutting any bevels as well. On the top of the saw here is a small clamp. We can bring this forward, and there's a dial on top, and this will say 0 to 45 degrees. So when I release the dial, or when I release the clamp, I can then move the dial to the setting that I want. But on the front of this part of the column guide is a small handle, and then I can start to bevel the saw over to the angle that I need to work with. The big advantage of this is that I can choose exactly the right angle, and I can get this really accurate setting with this type of method as well. And with the angles that are set on the back of this plate, I can see on the left and also on the right hand side. So I can move this over, But you can see here the column starts to hit on the side of the fence, but with Festool this is not a problem. On the back is a green lever, and now I can move this over, and now I can take the saw over to 45 degrees. As soon as that's in the correct position, we can move the fence over a little bit more. As soon as that's in the right position, the saw will stop at 45 degrees, and then we can bring the clamp over and the saw is set to make the cut. But with the saw we can also cut to 47 degrees. With the dial on the back, we can now set this to 47 degrees. I can then move the fence over a little bit more, clamp it into position, and then we can take the head of the saw over to 47 degrees and then again lock it back into position. So the KS120 is a very adaptable machine for cutting angles and also for cutting bevels as well. But with the fence on the left and also on the right hand side, if I needed to, we can also take these away while we're working. So with the KS120 we have a wide range of applications in which we can use the saw for. So we can bring this back up to 0 degree position, and now we can lock that in place. Of course, with the KS120, we can use this for many other applications as well. We can use the angle finder, we can also work with the leg extensions, and also we can use the saw for limited depth of cuts as well. And they're the applications that we'll come on to in the further films. So I hope this helps your understanding of an initial introduction to the KS120, and I'll see you again next time.